The wind was dry and rough that morning. Travis stepped out of his small wooden house and walked to the mailbox. He wasn't expecting anything, but inside the dusty metal box was an envelope. His name was written on it in neat, careful handwriting. He stared at it for a moment before opening it slowly. It was from a woman named Eliza. She had answered his mail-order bride ad. The letter said she was from the East, and she dreamed of building a life with someone kind and strong. Someone who would treat her like she mattered. She said she was ready to come west, ready to be his wife. Travis read the letter twice, then 3 more times. He hadn't smiled like this in years. Life had been hard, long days working on the ranch, quiet nights by the fire. No one to talk to but his old horse and a few cows. The days had started to blend into one long silence. But this letter lit something inside him. She wrote that she would travel by wagon with a group heading west. She expected to reach the town near Travis's ranch by the end of the month. She didn't want a fancy wedding or a big house. Just someone who would care for her and not hurt her. She said she had been hurt before. Travis cleaned up the place. He fixed the porch, repainted the door, and even bought new curtains for the windows. He shaved his beard and practiced smiling in the mirror. It looked strange on his face, but he didn't care. He even cooked real meals instead of just beans. Everything had to be right when she arrived. Every day he rode down the path to check the road. Every wagon that passed made his heart beat faster, but none of them had Eliza. The end of the month came and went, and still she didn't arrive. He tried not to worry. Maybe the trail was rough or the wagon got delayed. But days turned into a week. Then, too, Travis sat outside every evening, hoping to see dust rising in the distance, hoping to see a figure step down from a wagon and smile at him. The people in town started asking questions. Some looked at him with pity. Others joked about it. Said maybe she changed her mind or found someone better along the way. Travis didn't listen. He still believed in her words. Her letter was real. The promise was real. Then one afternoon, a young boy from the far edge of town came riding fast into the trading post. He was out of breath and talking fast. He said he saw a broken wagon near Dead Horse Ridge. He saw torn fabric, broken wheels, and no sign of life. Just a busted wagon in the middle of nowhere. Travis's heart dropped. He saddled his horse and took off without a word. The sky was dark with storm clouds, but he didn't stop. His hands gripped the reins tight, wind hitting his face, dust flying around his boots. He didn't know what he would find, but he had to go. He followed the boy's directions, rode past the ridge, and saw the wagon. It was tipped on its side, canvas torn open like a wound. The wood was cracked. Supplies were scattered all over the ground. A dead horse lay nearby, flies buzzing around it. No sign of other people. No voices, just silence. Travis climbed down, calling out softly, "Eliza?" No answer. He looked around, saw pieces of fabric. Footprints in the dirt. One small boot lying near a bush. Then he heard something, a soft sound. Like a whisper or a breath. He turned quickly. Heart racing, and saw her. She was leaning against a tree. Barely conscious, her dress torn, hair messy, face pale, lips dry and cracked. But it was her. Eliza, just like in the picture she had sent. Travis ran to her side, dropped to his knees, and gently touched her hand. Her eyes opened slowly. She looked at him with tired eyes, and whispered just one thing. "You came," and then her eyes closed again. Travis held her close and whispered back, "I'm here now, Eliza. You're safe." The wind picked up as Travis lifted Eliza into his arms. Her body was cold and weak, like it had been without warmth for days. He wrapped her in his coat and carried her away from the wreckage. Each step felt heavy, but he didn't stop. He whispered to her softly as he walked. Hoping she could hear him, he laid her gently on a bed of soft grass under the tree. Then ran back to search the wagon for supplies. The wagon was a broken mess, wood-cracked wheels split. Barrels smashed open, but under the debris he found a small water skin. He ran back and poured water carefully over her lips. She stirred just a little, a flicker of life in her tired face. Hay looked around. Where were the others? She had said she was traveling with a group. There should have been a family, other passengers, but there was no one. No fresh graves, no signs of another camp, just silence. Then he saw it, blood. A thin trail of it leading away from the wreck. Travis followed it slowly, rifle in hand. The trail led through thick brush and around a rocky hill. He stayed low and quiet every step, careful. Every sound in the wind made his fingers tighten on the rifle hand. Then he found them, 3 men, bandits, rough and wild, sitting around a small campfire, laughing, drinking from stolen bottles. One of them held a small locket. Travis recognized it. It was the one Eliza had shown in the picture she sent. His jaw tightened, his hands shook. They had done this. They had robbed the wagon, maybe worse. He couldn't let them get away. Not with this, not with what they did to her. He watched them from the shadows, studied their movements. They were relaxed, drunk. Not paying attention. He could take them if he moved fast, but he had to be sure. Then one of them spoke. He laughed and said something about the girl, about how she fought back, about how she wouldn't scream. Travis's stomach turned. He gripped the rifle so hard his knuckles turned white. He didn't wait, didn't think. He stepped out from the trees, rifle raised, voice cold drop. Everything stand up slow. Don't move fast, unless you want to die. The bandits froze for a moment. They stared. Then one reached for his pistol. 2. Late the rifle fired once, twice. One man dropped, the other fell. With a scream, the third ran into the trees, but Travis chased him through the dark brush, over stones and broken roots. The man slipped and fell. Travis stood over him. Why her? Why did you do it? The man begged. Said they thought the wagon had gold. Didn't know she was just a bride. Said they didn't mean to hurt anyone. But it was too late. Travis didn't say another word. He turned and walked back. Left the man crawling in the dirt behind him. Back at the campfire, he took what supplies he could carry, food, water, blankets, then rushed back to Eliza. Was still breathing, still alive, but barely. He gave her more water, laid the blanket over her, held her hand. As the sun began to set, the sky turned orange and red birds flew overhead, and the world felt quiet. Again she opened her eyes just for a second and whispered, one thing, you're not like them. Thank you. Travis didn't reply. He just held her tighter. He had found her. But the journey was far from over. They had to get back. She needed warmth, food. Real Koran, the land between here and the ranch, was not kind. But he would not leave her again, not now, not ever. The clouds rolled over the horizon like waves ready to crash. Travis looked up and saw the sky turning dark. A storm was coming fast and hard. He had no time to waste. Liza lay wrapped in his coat. Her breathing was shallow, her skin still cold. He touched her forehead and felt heat rising, fever. That was not good. She needed shelter, medicine, real food, not just broken wagon scraps and creek water. He picked her up again, her weight light as a sack of flour. His horse stood nearby, nervous from the wind. He tied the blanket around Eliza's shoulders and helped her onto the saddle, then climbed behind her, holding her tight, shielding her from the wind. The rain started as a whisper, then became a roar. Water fell in heavy sheets, soaking the trail, turning dust to mud. Thunder cracked above. The horse moved slow, each step careful on the slippery ground. Travis couldn't see far ahead. The wind pushed against them like it wanted to knock them down. Eliza coughed a weak sound, but it made his heart ache. She was still holding on, still fighting. He whispered to her, told her stories. Anything to keep her awake. Told her about the ranch, the old tree he planned to build a swing on the porch she would sit on in summer, the wildflowers that grew near the creek in spring. But she didn't answer. Her head leaned against his chest, her body limp. They rode for hours, no sign of shelter, no sign of anyone. The trail was nearly gone. Swallowed by mud and falling branches, then through the rain, he saw something in old hunting. Cabin falling apart, but still standing, he kicked the horse forward, heart racing. Hope rising, they reached the cabin as lightning cracked the sky. He jumped down, kicked the door open. Inside was dry. Dusty smelled of mold and rot, but it had 4 walls. And a roof. He carried Eliza inside, laid her gently on a pile of old furs in the corner, started a fire with shaky hands. The wood was damp, but the sparks caught flames, danced, and pushed back the cold. He boiled water, crushed wild herbs he found near. The ridge made a weak tea, held the cup to her lips. "Drink, please." She took a small sip. Her eyes barely opened, but she drank. Travis stayed by her side all night. He didn't sleep, didn't blink. Every time she coughed, he touched her hand, whispered to her, "You're safe now. You're not alone anymore." The storm screamed outside, winds howled like wolves. But inside the cabin, the fire burned steady. Eliza's breathing calmed. Just a little. Morning came slow. The rain turned to mist. The ground steamed as the sun returned. Travis stepped outside, looked at the trail. It was worse now, washed away, but he didn't care. They would rest, then move 1 mile at a time. He would carry her if he had to. She had survived the wreck, the bandits, the fever. She was not weak. She was stronger than most men he had met back inside. He found her eyes open, looking at him, really looking. "You stayed. You didn't leave." She whispered, "I said I would find you. I meant it," he replied. She reached out slowly, took his hand. Her fingers were cold, but her grip was real. They sat in silence, to strangers. Now, something more, not husband and wife. Not yet, but something deeper. Something that storms could not wash away. The cabin was broken. The trail was gone. But their journey had begun together. The sun peeked through the trees as Travis packed the last of their supplies. Eliza was stronger than before. She could sit up, speak more clearly, but her legs were still too weak to walk. Far. He lifted her gently onto the horse again, wrapped her in blankets, checked her fever, still warm but no longer burning. They left the old cabin behind. The trail ahead was quiet. No birds, no sound of wagons. Just whined through the leaves and the soft steps of the horse. Travis kept one hand on the reins, one hand on the rifle. He trusted no one. Now they moved. Slow. The sun climbed higher. And then they reached the river. Benda. Wide stream flowed through the valley. The current fast and cold. No bridge, no shallow path. Travis stared at the water, then turned to look for another way. That's when he saw the man, tall, wearing a long coat, leaning on a crooked stick. A wide hat shaded his face. But Travis saw the sharp eyes beneath. "Need help crossing?" the man asked, with a dry voice. Travis didn't answer right away. His eyes moved from the man to the saddlebag by his side. The leather was to clean the boots. To new. "What's your name?" Travis asked. "Call me Nash. Just a traveler, been following this trail." "Well, why? Looking for something?" "Maybe nothing." Nash smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Eliza shifted on the horse. She looked at Nash, then looked at Travis. Her hand gripped the saddle tighter. Travis stepped between them. "You alone?" "Course. Just me and the river." "You two seem like you've been through a storm." Travis nodded once. "We're fine, don't need company. I got a raft just over there, could help you cross." Safe and dry. Travis didn't move, didn't blink. "Why help us?" Nash shrugged. "Maybe I'm just kind. Maybe I want to trade people like you. Got stories. Maybe one of them is worth something." Eliza's voice was soft, but steady. "We don't have anything to trade." Nash turned to her. His smile faded. "Everyone has something, even if they don't know it yet." Travis stepped closer. "Appreciate the offer, but we'll find our own way." The air grew still. Nash tilted his head, then nodded slowly. "All right, cowboy, suit yourself, but remember the trail ahead gets worse. More broken men like me, some not as polite." He turned and walked toward. The trees disappeared into the brush. No sound. No footprints left behind. Travis waited, eyes on the tree's hand still on his rifle. Then he helped Eliza down. They followed the river for an hour, found a shallow bend. Travis carried her across water, reached his knees cold as ice, but they made Eton the other side. They rested under a tall oak tree. Eliza looked back across the river. He gave me a bad feeling, like he knew something about us. Travis nodded. He wasn't just passing through. He was waiting for someone, and I think it was us. They sat in silence, watching the river flow, listening for footsteps that never came. Age was gone, but the weight of his presence stayed like a shadow that refused to fade. They moved on as the light began to fade. Every sound in the forest made Travis turn his head. Every branch crack sounded like a threat. Night fell, and with it came a chill that crept into their bones. They camped beneath the stars. Travis made a small fire, held Eliza close. Neither of them slept deeply, the memory of the stranger still fresh, his words still echoing in their ears. Somewhere out there, he was still watching, and Travis knew this was only the beginning. The morning came slow and heavy. Fog rolled in thick from the east like a ghostly blanket. The trees vanished behind a wall of pale gray, and the silence was deeper than before. Travis stirred the fire with a stick. Ashes danced in the air. He glanced at Eliza, who was still wrapped in the blanket, eyes open, face calm, but something in her expression seemed far away. "We need to move soon," Travis said. Gently, Eliza nodded, but her voice was low. "I heard someone last night." A whisper, it said. My name. Travis froze for a second, then looked toward the woods. The fog was too thick to see anything beyond a few feet. He gripped the rifle beside him. It was just the wind. Nothing else out here but trees and shadows. But deep inside, he didn't believe that he had felt it. To a presence, a pressure in the air, like something was standing just beyond the edge of the firelight. They packed quickly, left the clearing, horse moving slow along the barely visible path. Twigs cracked under the hooves, but every sound felt louder in the fog. Every step heavier. Then a voice, soft, close. Eliza. She turned sharply, eyes wide. "Did you hear that?" Travis said nothing but raised his rifle. Looking around, nothing moved. Just white fog and thick silence. They continued, but the path was harder to follow. Now twice they turned back, realized they were walking in circles. Then the whispers returned, more of them, not just one. Dozens, faint, drifting just behind them. Travis stopped, lifted Eliza down, pressed her against a tree trunk. "Stay here, don't move, no matter what you hear." He moved forward, rifle ready. Each step, a fight against the heavy air. The whispers grew louder, still too soft to understand, but they were calling her name, calling his tooth. Then he saw them, figures shifting in the mist, faces without shape, eyes like glass. Some floated, others walked, but none made sound. He backed away, heart racing, but then one figure stepped forward, clearer than the others. A young girl, hair-braided dress, torn, blood on her lips. She looked up at him and spoke. "You left us. You walked away." Travis shook his head. "I don't know you. I never saw you before." The girl blinked, then vanished. He turned and ran back to Eliza, grabbed her hand, pulled her onto the horse, and rode. The fog tried to hold them. It clung to their clothes, wrapped around their faces, but Travis didn't stop. He whispered her name over and over, as if reminding the world that she was still real. Finally, after what felt like hours, the fog began to break. Light returned through the trees, and the whispers faded. They reached a small ridge overlooking a valley below. They could see the edge of a town. The town near Travis's ranch. Eliza let out a shaky breath. "We're close, we made it." But Travis wasn't smiling. He looked back toward the forest. The fog was gone, but something stayed in the air. Memories, voices, shadows that didn't belong. He helped her down, set up a small camp near the ridge. They would rest before moving again that night. Eliza curled beside him, eyes closed, but hands gripping his shirt. Travis didn't sleep. He watched the stars, listened to the wind, waited for the voices to return. They did, but the silence felt no safer, because something had followed them, and it wasn't finished yet. The town looked peaceful. From the ridge, smoke rose from chimneys. Children ran through the dusty streets, dogs barked, and the wind carried the smell of baked bread and morning stew. Travis helped Eliza back onto the horse. They rode slow, Down the hill toward what should have felt like safety, people stared as they entered, some with curiosity, others with concern. Eliza's face was pale, her dress torn and dusty. Travis's clothes were ripped, his eyes dark with worry. Few old men nodded, recognized Travis, but no one said much, just quiet glances and whispers. They stopped outside the doctor's office, a wooden building with a faded sign and creaky steps. Travis lifted Eliza, gently carried her inside. The doctor, a gray-haired woman named May, took one look and waved them to the back room. She's burning up. When did the fever start? Travis explained everything. The wreck, the storm, the man in the woods, the voices in the fog. May listened, eyes sharp, hands steady as she checked Eliza's pulse. She's strong. Give her a few days, she pull through. But she needs rest, no travel, no stress. Travis nodded, sat beside her, watched her sleep. Then the bell over the front door rang. A man walked in, tall, wearing a dark coat, wide shoulders, dusty boots. But what caught Travis's eye was the badge on his chest and the long scar across his left cheek. Sheriff Braddock. He didn't smile, didn't blink. Got word you were back with company. Travis stood slowly, body tense. Just came for medicine. We'll be gone soon. Braddock's eyes moved to the door behind Travis. The girl in there, she called Eliza. Travis said nothing. Braddock stepped closer. Got news a few weeks back about a wagon attack. 3 bodies found near Dead Horse Ridge, all robbed, 1 woman missing. Still, Travis didn't speak. The sheriff kept going. Got another letter too, from a man back east. Said Eliza ran away, took money from her employer, vanished overnight. He wants her found. Travis's jaw tightened. That letter's a lie. She never stole anything. She was trying to escape something. Braddock raised an eyebrow, from who Travis didn't answer, but his eyes said enough. Braddock nodded slowly, then looked toward the back room. She's not safe here. If someone's looking, they'll come, hard law or no law. That kind of money doesn't stay quiet. Travis stepped forward, lowered his voice. She's staying. She's sick. If anyone wants to take her, they'll have to come through me. Braddock didn't flinch, but something in his face softened. I don't care about her past. I care about keeping trouble off my streets. If she's with you, then she better stay out of sight. With that, the sheriff turned and left. The door swung shut behind him. Travis stood in silence, hands shaking. He walked back into the room. Eliza was awake, eyes watching him. You heard all that he asked? She nodded slowly. I never stole anything. I was a servant. He promised to marry me, then changed his mind, tried to sell me instead. I ran before they could chain me. Travis sat beside her, took her hand. You don't have to explain. Not to me. Tears formed in her eyes, but she blinked them away. I thought I was lost, but you came. You really came. He squeezed her hand. No one's taking you now. Not him, not anyone outside. The sun began to set, but inside that little room, hope burned bright. Even as danger crept closer, even as enemies gathered, they had made it this far, and neither of them was giving up. Not note ever. Night fell over the quiet town like a heavy blanket. The streets emptied, shutters closed, candles blew out one by one. But Travis sat wide awake beside Elisa. She was resting better now, breathing calm, color returning to her cheeks. But Travis could not rest, not with the weight of Sheriff Braddock's warning still heavy in his mind. He stepped outside the clinic. The air was cold. Stars stretched across the sky like scattered embers in the distance. The coyotes howled. Then he saw the glint far beyond the last house near the hill. 3 riders. They were slow, careful too, careful for cowboys passing through. EHL walked to the stable, saddled his horse, checked his rifle. His hands were steady, but his heart raced. He rode to the sheriff's office, knocked twice before stepping in. Braddock sat behind his desk cleaning a pistol, looked up with a tired face. They're here, aren't they? Travis nodded. 3 of them coming from the East Ridge. I know that look. They're not here to talk. Braddock stood, belted his gun, grabbed his coat. Figured trouble would find you. Still surprised it took this long. Travis looked him in the eye. You still with us, or staying out of it? Braddock sighed. I'm no hero, but I hate bullies more than I hate paperwork. They walked together to the edge of town, took cover behind an old fence, watched the riders approach. One of the men called out, voice thick with pride, "We don't want the town, we want the girl. Give her up, no one else gets hurt." Travis stepped out, rifle raised, face like stone. "She's under my protection. If you want her, come take her." The men laughed, but it was hollow, forced. Then one of them drew first. They shot rang out, missed Travis by inches. He dropped to one knee, fired once. Then again Braddock opened fire. To the town lit up with sound and sparks. Windows flew open. People screamed. The men tried to circle around, but Travis moved fast, took cover, reloaded. Fired. One man fell from his horse. Another turned and fled. The last one ran toward the clinic. Travis saw it too late. He shouted Eliza's name, ran after the last man inside the clinic. May stood in front of the door, a frying pan in her hand. Eyes fierce, the man shoved her aside, stormed into the room. Eliza sat up, face pale, but eyes burning with fire. He grabbed her arm, pulled hard, then Travis was there. He tackled the man. They fell to the floor, fists flying, knees crashing into wood. Eliza screamed. Travis slammed the man against the wall, growled through his teeth, "She's not yours, she never was." The man grinned, blood on his lips. "She's property, you can't change that." Travis didn't answer. He just drove his fist forward. One final punch. The man slumped to the floor. Unmoving, Braddock ran in behind him, saw the scene, nodded once. "I'll handle the law side, you handle her." Travis turned to Eliza, kneeling beside her. She reached for him, tears in her eyes. "I thought he'd never stop. I thought I'd always be running." He held her close. "You're not running anymore. You're home." Outside the town slowly returned to calm. People came to help. Voices murmured, hands offered water and warmth. Braddock stood guard, watched the sun rise over the ridge inside the clinic. Eliza leaned her head on Travis's shoulder. The fire was out, but the danger had passed. What remained now was healing and the start of something new. Asterisk. The wind moved gently through the grass as Travis led the wagon up the hill beside him. Eliza sat with her hands folded in her lap. Her skin was no longer pale. Her hair was brushed, her eyes steady. It had been 3 weeks since the attack. The town had gone quiet again. The broken door of the clinic was fixed. Braddock gave them space, and the people stopped whispering. They left at sunrise, heading toward the ranch, the place Travis once thought would stay empty forever. Looked around as they moved. The sky was wide. Clouds like ships floating slow above the trees leaned in, as if listening. Every mile they passed felt like a step toward something real. At the gate, Travis stopped the horse, stepped down, opened it with both hands, then waved her forward. She looked at him, then smiled. "You build this place alone?" He nodded, but it was never full until now. She stepped down, her feet touched the dirt, soft and warm beneath her shoes. They walked together to the house. The front porch had fresh wood curtains in the windows, and flowers growing wild in a box near the door. Inside, the rooms smelled of pine. The bed was made. A kettle sat ready on the stove. Eliza touched the edge of the table, then ran her fingers across the chair. Everything felt like it had waited for her. Watched her silent. Careful, she turned to him, eyes bright. "I don't have much to offer, but if you'll have me, I'd like to stay." He stepped closer, took her hand. "You were never just passing through. This is your home now, as long as you want it." She blinked. A tear rolled down her cheek, but she didn't look away. That night, they sat under the stars. Wrapped in one blanket, the fire crackled low. The sound of crickets filled the air. Eliza leaned on his shoulder. "Do you think it will ever feel normal again?" Travis looked out over the field. "Maybe not normal, but better, real safe." She nodded, then smiled. "I want to grow something here. Maybe tomatoes, maybe sunflowers." He laughed, a soft sound, rare and warm. "I'll build you a garden fence high enough to keep out deer, but low enough to watch the sun rise." The next morning they began. They cleared brush, set stones, drew lines in the dirt with sticks, laughed when their hands turned brown from the earth they passed. and turned to weak Eliza, saying while planting seeds, Travis built a swing from the old tree branch they ate by candlelight. Read books by the fire, spoke of small things at night. Sometimes Eliza would wake breath short, eyes wide, but Travis would be there. His arms wrapped around her, no words, just warmth, and each time she slept. Again one evening, a letter came by horse from the East. Travis handed it to her, but she didn't open it right away. She placed it in the drawer beside the bed, then looked at him. "I don't need it. I already found what I was looking for." He nodded, said nothing outside. The wind kept moving, but this time it didn't sound like a warning. It sounded like welcome. The ranch was no longer just a place, it was a promise. And Eliza, the mail-order bride who had been left for lost, was now home, not because someone saved her, because someone stayed.